we take off with big news about Takeoff himself. And take us away.
Yes. All right. So the folks at Jewel-Osco and Takeoff have partnered together to open a micro-fulfillment center in a Chicago area store, Chris. The store is going to be a first of its kind for Jewel-Osco. It's located in Westmont, Illinois, and will occupy a 20,000 square foot space adjacent to the current Jewel-Osco store that was previously occupied by Hobby Lobby. I feel like that's a fun fact for trivia someday.
100%.
The governor of Illinois was even on hand for the ribbon cutting ceremony, Chris. So
JB
you know
Pritzker.
this is legit. Okay, this is a big
name
deal.
Yes, it's
for the
huge.
Windy City. Chris, this is also A&M. Chad's after you, man. He is going to put. He wants to put. It's Chad.
This like a vendetta.
Again.
Chad's vendetta.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
So Chad wants to know what you think about this network footprint choice by the Albertsons and Jewel-Osco team. Is putting this micro-fulfillment center next to a store a better way to optimize this whole investment? And from a customer experience standpoint, compared to some of the other standalones like we're seeing from Kroger and Ocado. So Chris, what do you say?
What do I think about that? Well, Chad, happy to answer that question. I actually think it's a great question. And I think there's a lot of nuance to this answer. And to provide that, I think we've got to get a little more background on what's actually happening here. So,
right.
There's some key stats I want to share first and foremost before I answer that question. And I think number one, this center is designed to pick about 1,000 orders a day. And therefore those orders don't have to be manually picked by Jewel-Osco employees or third-party delivery drivers that are coming into the store. That's the whole point of it, right? It also covers a delivery area of about 20 miles. So it'll service more stores in this Chicago area than just the store that it's located next to. It also costs about $7.6 billion. $1 billion, not $1 billion. That would be insane. $1 million to build. It also employs about 27 more workers too, which I think is an important point. And then, so to answer Chad's question with that as the backdrop, I think where it's located isn't as important as what is it's designed to do. So the idea here is that it's a small micro-fulfillment center that's designed to use automation so that you don't have to use your own employees to pick and pack or third-party delivery workers to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Now, you could place that close to the store. You could place that near the store. Or, in the case of Ocado, you could take a different approach where what you're really talking about there is a much larger size fulfillment center where your idea is that you're serving a much bigger area with lead times that are a little more lenient than, say, what you'd find from your traditional local grocery customer. So both can work, but both have to be designed in the right space. What I like about, or I think the important point to bring up about the location of it being right next to the store is that you do get some synergies there, because the other important point, and check my numbers on this. Ooh. Yeah, but check my numbers on this. I believe from the article, if I'm not mistaken, the warehouse is going to carry about 6,000 items, which is in no way the full grocery store, but it's the core of what people are going to order online. And any orders that come in that aren't fulfilled from the center can then be picked from the adjoining store. So that's an important aspect of how this whole thing works together to make the efficiencies. Plus, you get the scale of the inventory being shareable across two very close locations, and the supply chain value in delivering to basically what is essentially one location versus two disparate locations disjointed from each other. So those are the points that I would bring up in answering that question. It's not necessarily that one is right or wrong. It's just that they're very different. There's very different angles to how you can look at this and very different values to it too.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I actually like this move because I think that it helps almost future-proof Albertsons and Jewel-Osco in this case for what the grocery store of the future looks like, what the footprint looks like in the future, because I do believe that we're going to start migrating to smaller footprints. And also, like you said, 60% of the repeat orders that people make to this Jewel-Osco location are all going to be, picked by these robots. And then the last ones will be supplemented. I think this makes sense to kind of merge into next phase. I also think this is particularly interesting because this is 2 miles away from Amazon Fresh. So the new Amazon Fresh store that's fully autonomous in Westmont is 2 miles away from here. So I think this shows a great response from Albertsons and Jewel-Osco of how regionals are going to have to start competing and stepping up their game to compete with the Amazon Fresh that's going down the street. I mean, it's on the same street 2 miles away. So I think this is a great move from the Jewel-Osco team. And I think, again, a future-proof move for them as we move into new grocery formats.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, net, like it's cool to see Albertsons, Jewel-Osco pushing into their other brand. They've said they're going to open another one on Roosevelt Road and Canal Street in Chicago's near West District next summer. It's cool to see. It's good to see. I'm still surprised, though. My last point would be, I'm still surprised to see that we haven't seen more people taking this action.
Absolutely.
With micro fulfillment centers in some way in grocery, especially in regard to the threat that you just posed with Amazon.
Yeah, I completely agree, Chris. We've got to see something accelerate. I think that we're going to start seeing it in 2022. When these Amazon Fresh stores start opening up in people's neighborhoods, I think we're going to see people put the pedal to the metal on these types of fulfillment centers.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that maybe that's kind of the canary in the coal mine for a lot of these retailers, so that they start to recognize that, so to speak.